Give folks a few seconds to get in.
So I'm looking at mine, and it says, "Hey, na 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 na." Big, yeah.
Man, that is the coolest view of Tech Center, though. I love that.
Let me mute this. Perfect.
I'll give them another minute. They're popping in.
Yes. There's one.
Okay, while they're coming in, welcome everyone. Just wanted to say we are honored to have you all with us today. A couple of hints about how to interact with us. Feel free to network within the chat window. Tell us who you are and where you're from. All questions pertaining to today's presentation are to be directed to the Q&A window. We will do our very best to answer all questions during this event. We have about 40 people expected, a little over 40 people to join us today, and we're very excited about that. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jeff Johnson, Director of Tech Center Research Park.
Thank you very much, Kelly. Welcome, everybody. Hopefully you can hear me okay. It is a beautiful, beautiful day here in lovely Newport News, Virginia, and we're so glad to have you for the, what is this, Kelly, now the 4th or 5th installment of a program that Kelly produces called the Tech Center Tech Talks, or Tech Talks at Tech Center. I am Jeff Johnson. I'm going to be your host for this this event, and we are really excited to have with us Steve Waddell, who's is the president and CEO of Nasoni. He's going to talk to you about a technology and an innovation that we think is pretty exciting. So we'd like to share that with you. But before I do, let me tell you a little bit about Tech Center and what we do. Tech Center really is a research park and innovation district located on the eastern side of Virginia. And it's based on, and is part of the Tech Center Research Park or Corporate Research Center enterprise based in Blacksburg, Virginia. That's the award-winning Tech Center Corporate Research Park Research Center in Blacksburg, next to and adjacent to Virginia Tech. So we're the extension out to the southeast of Virginia for those of you who are joining us from around the country. So that kind of gives you a sense of place. Our focus here is really around commercializing discovery and growing businesses that matter. And the key to what we've been presenting and what you've been seeing throughout this series, for those of you who have been joining us throughout the series, is basically been high growth, high technology companies. Everything from small satellite communications to driverless cars to wireless power, and now reinventing something that is a staple in all of our lives, the faucet. And you might say, oh my goodness, so we've got a faucet that's part of now this portfolio of technologies that we're bringing to you. And we're really focused around showcasing what the innovation is to something that we're used to in our lives very much every day. So it's my pleasure to welcome you to the Tech Center Tech Talks. And today, we have with us Mr. Steve Waddell. Steve Waddell is the president and CEO and founder of Nasoni, where he currently guides the development and the production of a groundbreaking series of fountain faucets. So starting in 2015, Nasoni was founded on creating an outstanding product while leaving a legacy of a better planet through a faucet that makes life easier, saves water, and say at the same time. So prior to founding Nasoni, Steve's background included really over 25 years at Newport News Shipbuilding, nuclear powered aircrafts, carriers, and submarines. Steve also serves as the Vice President of Reed Integration and has taught graduate level courses in project management and risk management at Florida Institute of Technology. Steve is by definition a seasoned entrepreneur, and he continues to build key investor relationships to disrupt the highly competitive and well-known market. Steve and his company have won numerous prestigious awards and have subsequently been featured in multiple high-profile publications. So it is with great pleasure that I welcome my friend and President and CEO, Steve Waddell. Steve, take it away.
Jeff, man, thanks so much. It's a pleasure to be here. And thank you to Tech Center for coming to Newport News. Man, it's an amazing asset. Just look behind Jeff. The plans are just tremendous, and I love what you guys are doing. So I'm going to enable screen sharing, if that's okay, and go to my presentation. So as I like to say, we think Nasoni is the future of faucets. And as Jeff mentioned, you know, my background is 25 years building nuclear-powered aircraft carriers and submarines at Newport News Shipbuilding. And I'm going to show just a little video. You might want to adjust your sound before we get into that, because it is a little bit loud. But a few years back, my wife Becky and I, along with two of our employees, were invited to COD out, COD meaning carrier onboard delivery, to the USS Enterprise as guests of Rear Admiral Ted Carter during Operation Bold Alligator, which was 90 miles off the coast of South Carolina. We did a tailhook landing, a tour of the ship, dinner with three admirals, and a cat shot the next day. So when you watch this, most people have seen a jet land on an aircraft carrier flight deck. And you probably know that there's a tail hook that has to grab an arresting gear in order for it to land successfully. But what most people don't know is that the pilot must push the engines to full power instead of slowing down. That seems counterintuitive, right? But the issue is, if the tail hook doesn't catch the arresting gear cable, the pilot has to be able to take off again. So let's watch this video. Imagine standing there with your iPhone shooting this video. See him pushing the engines down, turning red, and that's Admiral Carter on the left that was smiling. So I started out on the waterfront as an apprentice in 1982 and spent, you know, quite a number of years there. And then I moved to engineering, where I spent 12 years. My first job in engineering was actually as a refueling engineer, and I had reactor plant 2A for the refueling effort on that carrier you just saw. Following that, I helped found the shipyard's systems engineering department, where I developed the yard's risk management process for aircraft carrier programs and was the subject matter expert for risk management for the yard. In fact, my phone number today, my cell phone, is 358-RISK. But what you see here now is the CVN-79 Island being landed on flight deck. And 3 ships prior to that, on CVN-76, the yard was experimenting with a concept called IPTs, Integrated Product Teams. And the idea was to challenge IPTs to see if they could cut costs by 25% on a portion of the ship before trying it on the entire ship. I was asked to join the hull outfitting IPT midway through their efforts and found they weren't making great progress on their cost reduction goal. So I asked for their budget, took it home over the weekend. I came back the next week and recommended we create sub-teams to focus on 4 key areas. I was asked to lead 2 of them, one of which was these windows. And apparently they have been trying to change this window design for 30 years, ever since the original Nimitz design. So I went down to the ship, I talked to the waterfront personnel, I asked the employees, I said, what's the biggest problem with the windows? Why are they so expensive? And what I learned was, all the windows are built in this massive slip joint. So all the framework you see around those windows in the photo here is designed to slip. And that is massive amount of time, because if you can see my screen here, this is an actual mil-spec window from the old carriers. And the glass is 2.5 inches thick. So it weighs tons. And this whole structure has to slip. And I spoke to engineering supervisor and told him we need to change that to eliminate it. He said, well, they've been trying to change that for 30 years. You know, what are you going to do different? And then he tells me, put yourself in this position. You're at Pier 2, the ship getting ready to be delivered to the Navy, and all the windows started cracking. And I said, well, you know, you're associating yourself with failure. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. The difference I learned my entire time in the yard like that was that I was not necessarily just an employee that just followed the rules. I was more entrepreneur. That's my entrepreneurial spirit. And so I questioned everything about the windows. In fact, if we look at this, what we see here is there are pillars that have to hold the deck up called stanchions, right? And that's because that's not a load-bearing bulkhead. Again, that whole bulkhead the windows are in has to slip. In addition, I questioned why the glass was 49 inches wide. I called the manufacturer, Sierra, and I said, can you make them wider? Making them wider would improve visibility. And they said, yeah, we can go up to 80 or 90 inches. The next thing I said was, let's talk about the ballistic protection. In order for the people inside the island to be protected in case there's a blast on flight deck, they put ballistic protection on the steel structure around the island. They could not put it on the windows because you wouldn't be able to see out of it. So they kind of became the weak point for the ballistic protection. So working with Sierra, the manufacturer, we came up with a new glass composition, which I'll hold both up. This clear one here is called transparent armor. It's white water clear. And we developed an entirely new solution. So what you see here is the result of our efforts. It's a massive improvement for the customer, and it's a massive improvement in man-hour savings and of just a better system. And so, what I learned along the way is, I'm really good at making change that a lot of people didn't see because I'm an entrepreneur. And when you go home at night, you can't turn that off, right? Every day, morning and night, I get tired of craning my neck under the faucet. And I know a lot of people watching, they may think about that too. And it turns out everybody has faucet issues, right? So, for example, if you have a glass in your bathroom or you use one at a hotel, it could be subject to fecal matter germs as reported in this report, or the aerosol effect when you flush the toilet, if you're not washing that glass enough. And of course, aerosol effect lands on all the surfaces of the bathroom. So if you use your hands and cup your hands like this guy, you've touched the countertops and whatnot. Therefore, that's not a good solution either. So what I ended up doing is just like this guy, craning my neck, right? And I know there's people on the call here that do the same thing. And it's not convenient, and it's particularly harder for aging adults when you have arthritis and Parkinson's and so forth. The next thing we learned is women also deal with challenges in rinsing facial cleanser. Cupping your hands, splash your face, you waste water, you get water all over the countertop, so it's messy. Turns out guys do the same thing for rinsing shaving cream, unless you're like our friend here and shave in the shower. And then the next thing I learned is 4% of Americans in the US actually brush their teeth in the shower because of this problem. I never heard of that until I started researching this. So essentially, I learned there are a lot of bathroom faucet design failures. The limitations are that they've really remained unchanged in functionality since they were first invented in Pompeii hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Again, the obstacles get worse as you get older, or if you have chronic health issues or a bad back. They waste a lot of water. EPA standards haven't changed in more than 10 years. They tried to reduce the water flow rate. People complained, so they stuck where they're at 1.5 gallons per minute. And germs, they promote a bathroom environment that harbors airborne bacteria. And lastly, big box retail like Lowe's and Home Depot, they demand price concessions from the manufacturers, so they end up retooling the fixture to come up with a poor quality faucet. This is back in 2015, as Jeff mentioned, I won a startup competition in Virginia Beach that was hosted by Inc. Magazine and Cox. And part of it included $5,000 in services along with $5,000 in cash. The services were done by Cox Media. And I had this image drawn, and Cox Media animated the drawing in a pretty cool way. So this illustrates the aerosol effect. I'd always hypothesized it was cleaner to drink from a water fountain than the glass in the bathroom. But I never had any proof until Dr. Anna Jang at the College of Health Sciences actually came out with a study last year that scientifically proves it's cleaner to drink from a water fountain than the glass. And it was published in the spring 2020 Journal of Virginia Public Health. So that's pretty cool. Now, my wife and I have always wanted to go to Italy. And there's a place called Casa Gregorio. It's a little bed and breakfast. And you go out, you gather ingredients. You're not seeing anything right now. Nothing's wrong with your screen. But you go out on the Italian countryside, you gather ingredients, you come back, you make real Italian pizza, and you have a little wine. So I was studying Italy, and I ran across these things called Nasoni. These Nasoni take water from the Apennine Mountains through the Roman aqueducts and up out on the streets of Rome. Now watch what happens when she plugs the bottom and magically it creates a water fountain. These were first installed in 1872. And when I first saw that, it was like, wow, that's when the spark of inspiration fired inside me. And I said, you know what? Why aren't all bathroom faucets like this? That functionality is just so simple. Sometimes genius is in its simplicity. So using my apprentice school skills I learned 20, 30 years ago, I said, maybe I can make a proof of concept. So I go to Lowe's, I bought a fiberglass sink, I bought a faucet, I bought a shut-off valve, and put it all together. I drilled a hole in the top of it and hooked it up to a garden hose just to see what would happen. So this is the first proof of concept of Nasoni fountain faucets. Now, and it was pretty cool when I first turned the fountain lever on and it created the water fountain. So I got kind of excited about it. And I decided I would show it to my stepfather. Now, my stepfather was bigger in life than me, literally and figuratively, because he's 6'3" and I'm 5'8" on a good day. That's him in the lower right. And he spent 33 years in the piping department at the shipyard. So he knew plumbing systems, and I knew he would know all about this. When I showed it to him, however, he laughed. He said, what the heck are you going to do with that? And I said, well, when you brush your teeth, you either got to, to rinse, you got to cup your hands, tilt your head, or use a cup. And he laughed and said, no. I said, what do you mean, no? He said, oh, heck, I just take my teeth out and put them in a cup. All right, you got me there. He bet me $1,000 I would never sell one. So that challenged me even more to go make this a real thing. And eventually, when I did produce our pilot study faucets that would become our final design, I gave him one as part of the pilot study, and he ended up loving it. Unfortunately, within the next 3 to 4 months, he passed away of colon cancer, but he did get to see it before he passed away. So this is what he saw. This is our engineering CAD model that we came out with. And this is a cutaway view of the design. Now, the design evolved. When I originally designed it, we came up with a utility patent. And as you can see on the left, it's one big pipe, right? Water flows through this big tube and out. Now, you saw water bubbling out the top out of my proof of concept. So in order to prevent that, we had to develop this spring ball combination. The problem was, we know from my experience in the yard, it's better to use what we call COTS components, commercial off the shelf, because they're designed to last. They've been put to the test. This would be more expensive because it was custom components and had the concern of longevity. So we redesigned the faucet, came up with a new design, and now water would flow through a lower chamber and out. And then we rotate this fountain, this ceramic disc valve to an upper chamber when we're ready for the water fountain. And then it would just go out through this fountain nozzle. It's a much more elegant solution. It's designed for longevity and replaceability because it uses all off-the-shelf components. And so now we've got a stronger IP portfolio as well. We've got multiple patents. We're also patent pending in the UK and in India. And I've got a patent in China as well. So our solution, as you can see, is it's innovative. This is the future of faucets, in our opinion. It's much more hygienic. We have scientific proof of that. It's convenient. It makes your daily life that much easier. And it's truly efficient. Well, what does efficient really look like? Let's take a look at that graphically. On the left is a standard 2.2 gallon per minute faucet. And you're told by the American Dental Association you should brush for 2 minutes. So if you leave the water running when you brush your teeth, like 1/3 of Americans do, then you would waste 4.4 gallons with a standard 2.2 GPM faucet. At the same time, on the right, you'd only use 0.52 gallons with our fountain feature. That's a whopping 88% savings of water. And by the way, you may not realize it, but by the year 2030, demand will exceed supply by 40% for water in the world. So we do have a water crisis coming. The US market size, the total available market is $5.3 billion. And we look at that across 5 categories: new residential, residential renovation, new construction for commercial, and then commercial renovation and repair, and then of course exports. So that's the total available faucet market. Then there's a subset of that we call the service available market, which is in the bathroom. And then below that is, of course, our service obtainable market we see for Nasoni over the next 5 years without a scale partner. If we were to have a scale partner to help us grow, then we could exceed that considerably. These are our award-winning patented fountain faucets. We actually have 6 SKUs, 3 of each type. On the left is a 4-inch center set, and on the right is an 8-inch widespread. We have 3 finishes, which is polished chrome, gloss black nickel, and satin nickel. The gloss black nickel on the left is actually my favorite, as well as my wife Becky's. Now, along the way, I entered a lot of startup competitions. I won over $80,000 in cash and prizes in these competitions. And one of the things I learned from people that I met in those, some people wanted filtered water. You know, they said the water in their city wasn't very good, and it might have been Portsmouth. And so we developed, we looked at the faucet. We said, we cannot build it into the faucet. It just wouldn't last. You'd have to change it every day or every week. So we came up with an under sink water filter, and it's NSF 42 and 53 certified. It's made in Maryland, so it's made in the US, and it treats 10,000 gallons. So it's a great solution. It takes less than 10 minutes to install, and it's a simple twist lock design when it comes to replacement, just like a kitchen refrigerator filter. So it's very easy to change out, less than a minute to change it out. Now, in order to understand who our customers are, we conducted 22 IDIs, or in-depth interviews, and Dark Horse Insight led the effort. On the left, that's the president of Dark Horse Insight, and they're doing a customer unboxing at that time. They also got to use the faucets to learn the functionality. And the hands-on experience taught us that there was a high relative likelihood of market success because of the strong overall consumer response to the product in person. Our business model is that faucets and filters will go to market through both B2B and B2C. B2B, we work through manufacturer representatives, which also resells to distributors like Nolan and Vamac. We look at direct sales, we look at private label and royalty partnerships. And then B2C, we're looking through direct, like Nasoni.com, our website, and the influencer affiliate program, and of course, Amazon. If you go to Amazon.com/Nasoni, I guarantee you're going to see a storefront there better than most any you've seen on Amazon. And as you're there, there's also a separate tab for installation. You can see all of our installation videos on how to install our faucets and our filters. You probably won't have ever seen that on Amazon products. So our early traction thus far, we have a great IP barrier. We've got 3 approved US patents. Those are utility patents, that is. We have an approved China patent, a pending, another utility patent pending. We're pending in the UK, India, and we have approved trademark and motion mark. Most people don't even know what a motion mark is. That's the actual motion of our logo that we use. We have 6 green certifications. So we have every green certification you can get, including Natural Resources Canada. So we're certified to sell in not only the US, but all of North America. So that includes Canada and Mexico. Our first production run is complete with 2,100 fountain faucets and 500 water filters. And, we launched at the worst possible time, which was January, February of last year, because what happened right after that? Well, COVID hits and it shuts down all the trade shows. It shut down the Minnesota State Fair that we were going to be at. So all of the hands-on experience opportunities disappeared because of COVID. In spite of that, we still had 50,000 in early pandemic sales traction, which includes B2B sales. For example, Peanut Crossing is a brand new luxury development project in downtown Suffolk. There are 58 luxury apartments. Every one of those now has Nasoni fountain faucets installed. And our next B2B sale is happening in Minnesota. We're working with New Perspective Senior Housing. And one of the things we learned about seniors living in those type of places is they're subject to oral hygiene issues and dehydration. Seniors have to take a lot of pills. In some cases, could be blood pressure medication or what have you, that make you dehydrated. And having access to a water fountain in their own facility, is awesome. So because of all of this, we've won a ton of awards. I'd say we won more awards than any other faucet, including the Good Design Award from the Chicago Athenaeum, the Architecture Master Prize 2020 Award. We won Tech.co. We won the we're a finalist in the World Changing Ideas 2020 for Fast Company. Now, there is one thing on here that you see in the lower right, and that's not an award. That's actually the sign outside of my dressing room. I did go on a show in Hollywood. I flew out to California, got on stage with Steve Harvey, and I competed against another entrepreneur on stage and won $50,000. That was really cool. So what I'd like to do now is let you hear from, just for 2 minutes, from some real Nasoni customers. And let me make sure I share the sound. And let's start that.
Hi, we're Vic and Lisa, and we bought his and her Nasoni faucets because we each wanted one. We each have a certain reason that we like to use it. I especially like to use it for taking my pills at night. I don't have to have a bottle of water. I don't have to worry about bending down, getting my hair wet in the sink when I'm bending over.
I like to use my Nasoni faucet in the morning when I'm brushing my teeth. I just get done, I rinse, and it's easy. 1, 2, 3. I love it. I enjoy it, and like I said, we like it so much. We have 2 of them, one for her and one for me.
Okay, it's Sunday night and I'm getting ready to wash my face with my Nasoni faucet and wanted to show everybody how I do that every single night. To rinse my face, and I can get it wet before I even put the cleanser on. And a little bit with a washcloth. And then I can rinse it so easily.
Another thing we've learned is kids love the faucet.
Turn this on and
And
then
it's
put
a
it
great way to teach them about
up.
water
That's how
conservation.
you make the thing go.
Been in atomic plumbing for 41 years and been in the plumbing business for 41 years. Service plumber that sells and installs faucets, and this faucet is one that I put in my own home. I'm extremely happy with it. Use it for brushing my teeth all the time. Wife uses it for filling up plants, or excuse me, filling up containers and watering plants and stuff like that. Faucet is extremely well built. It's a very high-end faucet, top quality. We have the chrome faucet at home. This is the polished nickel faucet, which has got a very nice finish on it. And again, it's a very good looking faucet, something that you'd probably like to have in your own home.
That water traveling there in the logo, that's actually our watermark.
Hi, we're Vic and Lisa,
So let's
and
go on from that. So what does our product roadmap look like? Well, our innovation engine is what drives our growth. And on the left, as you can see, our single lever fountain faucet. This has a lot more appeal for larger installations like hotels, senior living, and so forth, because when you're outfitting those, the installation costs are cheaper. You have to drill 1 hole instead of 3. So we've designed a gorgeous looking single lever faucet. We're excited to bring that to market. And then of course we get to the tech side of tech talk, right? That's what everybody's been waiting on the tech stuff. So we've developed what we call our Access H2O, next generation smart faucet. And just this month, we submitted a proposal, a phase 1 SBIR, to the National Institute of Health to develop a product that's a recognized gap in the durable medical equipment market. Well, what do I mean by that? Working with Dr. Lisa Caperna at Monarch Physical Therapy, we've learned that quadriplegics really have it bad when it comes to trying to have access to water, clean water. And so we want to solve that. Here are some examples. I mean, I couldn't imagine having a straw and drinking out of the bottom of the sink. So we've come up with, this is an early prototype design, but imagine the faucet where it has facial recognition through the camera technology in it. So let's say you're a quadriplegic and you lean forward and your mouth is open. The faucet will recognize it and say, oh, the mouth is open. They want to get a drink of water. So it would initiate the fountain stream. And when the user would lean back, the proximity sensor would cut it off. Secondarily, if they lean forward with their mouth closed, it would say, oh, they want to wash their face. So you see a second nozzle that would initiate a fountain spray. Now, conversely, if you want to use voice technology, the user could simply say, Alexa, turn on the water fountain to 90 degrees. So we'll have temperature control, voice recognition, we'll have an eye gaze sensor, proximity sensors. And while you think, okay, well, what's the market size for just for quadriplegics? That's a limited size, but we also recognize this type of technology, if we can get the price down, would be useful for anybody. I personally would like to have this in the home. So we look forward to that. So with that said, we're looking for those that are ready to help us make a difference. So what are some of the needs we have here at Hampton Roads? Well, we're looking for regional B2B customers, hotels, retirement homes, multifamily apartments, residential builders, and so forth. We're also looking for distribution partners, could be plumbers, others that can help us raise awareness and regional availability. And then lastly, we're looking for a third round of investment. This is essentially growth capital to help us disrupt the mature faucet market. What would we do with the funds? Well, the first thing is we want to get our single lever order placed. This would include certification testing, the factory molds, and then 1,000 units of initial inventory. We'll also use it to ramp up sales through pay-per-click advertising, some PR. We want to scale the organization by hiring sales reps and our e-commerce sales support, and then a little bit for working capital for rent and warehousing and so forth. So with that said, if you got questions, I think I can get it. If I don't have an answer, I know where to get it from. I'll find it.
Steve, thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. Oh my goodness. So who would have thought there was so much technology and so much technology capability and opportunity in a staple, something we use every single day. And we are so happy that, that you are part of this Tech Center family. And before we open it up for questions from our participants and others to you, where we know that you have answers, just wanted to make sure that we shared with everybody, the idea of the Tech Talk was really born out of our interest around giving technology a voice. So what we try to do here at Tech Center is to find those innovators in our region who really are looking to disrupt innovation and markets with new technologies, both high growth, high tech technologies, and others that really will make a difference in our lives. So we are science, technology, and engineering and math based. Our focus is really on moving ideas from idea to impact. And that's the most important piece. So what you hear is we try to frame and bring to you technologies that are being developed, technologies that don't have every solution done, because we think that many of you on this call can be very helpful around those kinds of things, either investors in it, access to technology, access to talent as we grow these businesses. So we think that this is a platform by which we want technologies just like Nasoni to be successful. So please, we will open it up for you now to ask Steve any questions you might have on this technology. And we'll have Kelly moderate these questions. So send them in via chat, send them in, or Kelly will describe the best way to get those to you. So I'm gonna kick it to you, Kelly, so we can start with question and answer. Thanks, everybody.
Great, great, great. Good, Steve. Thanks, Jeff. Well, we have one question. I prefer them to be in the Q&A window, but feel free to blast away. The first question is from Mr. Martin Joseph. What is the entry-level investment for your third round funding?
Hey, Martin, good to hear from 360 IT. I'm not sure I know what you mean by entry level for investment, and maybe Jeff can take that, but you know, can you elaborate a little more on that? While we're waiting to hear back from Martin, Jeff, do you have something?
No, I was just gonna say, it's just the minimum. How much, you know, are we know that you're looking to raise about what, $450,000 in total. And is there a minimum investment that you would take? I guess that's Martin's question.
Yeah, no, we don't have a minimum set yet, but we are open to having multiple investors for the round and have a lead investor. So we're still working through that. And Martin, you can reach out to me. Happy to talk offline about it. And while we're waiting on other questions, I just wanted to mention real quickly that as you saw the lady on there rinse her face with the faucet, I never thought of that when I originally invented it. I originally invented it so I wouldn't have to crane my neck to rinse after brushing. Solve your own problem, right? So there are use cases we don't think about. When I think about the quadriplegics and having a sensor-driven faucet, I also think about all the military in the region and all of those impacted by spinal cord injury. And imagine how we can make their life better. I see we have my friend John Thickenhauer from the VA online.
When speaking of military, what are you doing in the government marketplace?
We haven't done anything yet in the government. Well, let me take that back. The first thing we've done was just done this month, and that's where we submitted the grant proposal to the National Institute of Health, and that's to develop Access H2O sensor-driven faucet. I do think there could be application of our current faucets, such as this is our prototype for the single lever, that could be put on ships. You know, you could actually see that on some of the ships I've built at Newport News Shipyard, to combine a water fountain and a faucet. Why not? But we haven't gone down that path yet.
All right, that was from Mr. John Feckenheimer. I'm sorry if I spelled it wrong.
John Feckenhauer. John was actually our Richmond SBA rep years ago for Becky's company. Great guy. He's working with the VA now, doing wonderful things.
He said he's going to give you a call.
Awesome.
Perfect.
Wonderful. Next question is from Mr. Phil Doublet. Steve, what's the total amount you really need? If you look ahead 3 years, how much capital could you use to really grow this thing? I'd guess 2 million minimum.
You know, when you start thinking about the exposure of trying to actually penetrate the market and having a real impact, you're right. We could use another round beyond the 450 we're looking for. So yes, this is just to get us, this is our next growth phase step. And we really would like to get to a point where we attract a scale partner. You know, someone like a Moen, or it could even be a filter manufacturer. For example, Aquasana, Pentair, Ecolab. If you think about this, if we create the market or the reason for people drinking in the bathroom, they're going to want to filter that water, and it generates the need for whole house water filtration. So there's all kind of different ways to look at how we can grow this market.
Good question.
Next question is from Mr. Ken Newcomer. Do you have any plans for a product for the kitchen in addition to the bathroom?
Hey, Ken.
Great question. Great question.
Ken, great to hear from you, buddy. And we've been asked that multiple times. And are we going to produce a kitchen faucet? We'll certainly look at that as we grow. It's not on the roadmap yet. We've also been asked, could we create one for a bar counter, things like that. So there are some different applications we could go into. But if you think about a kitchen faucet, it also would require the pull-out feature and things of that nature. So a little more complex than we have now, but not out of the realm possibility.
Great.
Those were all of the questions presented. Anyone else have a question?
Steve, just when you think about, you know, where you are now, what would you say is your biggest need and your biggest challenge really right now, as we have an audience of people here, and we all know people, and so the power of the Tech Talk is the network, and so we don't know who other people know. So, you know, share with us, take for a moment, you know, what you see your biggest challenges, and where's your biggest, you know, opportunity, what you need.
Well, our biggest challenge is awareness. You know, people really don't know we exist because of COVID. You know, our whole market approach was to use manufacturer representatives. We have Delco Sales in California, Champions Marketing in Texas, Virginia Maryland Associates here locally, and then we have Ben Franklin in Florida. So we had 4 manufacturer representatives. We shipped them pallets of faucets and water filters January, February last year. And then COVID hit, and they shut down all their external sales. They couldn't go out and demonstrate anything. So because of COVID, you know, it's truly impacted our awareness, and people don't know about us yet. And so what it takes to gain that awareness is, you know, financial, is money, right? So we got a bigger marketing budget, along with influencers and so forth, you know, to help us raise that awareness.
Fantastic.
That's it. No more questions at this time.
Oh, wait, there's some comments I like. One of Myron said, I'm actually excited to put one of these in my home. I love it, Myron.
Yes.
I'll tell you this heads up. They're on sale cheaper on our website than they're on Amazon. They're on Amazon, and there's a coupon on Amazon, but they're on sale cheaper on nasoni.com. So I highly suggest you go there. It's a better deal. And by the way, we have a 30-day happiness guarantee. If you get the faucet and there's a problem with it, you know, give us a call. We'll do what it takes to make it right, including exchanging it, refunding it, whatever it takes. And then beyond that, we have a limited lifetime warranty that covers the product. And as I mentioned, these are all commercial off-the-shelf components. So nothing to worry about. I mean, it's great quality. It's the best quality you can find. I didn't get to mention, let me say that real quickly. When I just set out to build these faucets, I used my shipyard building the best carrier submarine in the world background and said, what's it take to make a great faucet? And what I learned, there are three key things. Number one, the material. It has to be either out of lead-free brass or stainless steel. Stainless steel is harder to work with. So all the great faucets are made of solid lead-free brass. Second thing is it's got to not leak. And so the best valves you can get are ceramic disc valves. We use Sidal from Spain for the two main handles. And then the third thing is it's got to have a good finish. The best finish you can get is PVD, which stands for physical vapor deposition. It's almost a space age technology. We pay $10 extra per faucet just to have that finish applied. It's an awesome finish. So these are, like I said, the best quality. When you hold the faucet, you can tell it's different. The weight of it is it's over 6 pounds. You know, I've got an uncle that was in the plumbing business, and he said, I haven't seen faucets like this in 40 years. Because you can feel the quality. They've just cut quality so much these days. They're not made like this anymore.
Well, I can definitely tell you from my perspective, having seen these faucets, the whole thing is first rate and first quality. Congratulations to you on the innovation. And we know that this Nasoni fountain faucet really is going to be a success. And thank you for the opportunity for letting us showcase it here on our Tech Center Tech Talks, because as we see, there's many places, as you heard from the questions, there are many other places this technology can go. And you're just getting started. I know that you're just getting started and that you're going to be very, very successful. So if there are no further questions, you've done what we've been trying to do, Kelly, for multiple times. So we allot, for those who are still on the call, we try to save and give you back about 15 minutes of your lunch, so that for those of you who are like me, skip lunch, can grab something before you have to get back to work. So we thank you for taking the time out for joining us here at Tech Center Research Park. We're really excited. If there's any other questions, we'll have up on the screen, I think, contact information to get back out to you as well, to make sure that you know how to get in touch with Steve. If you know somebody who's interested, please let us know. If you know a specifier who are specifying these kinds of products for residential or commercial applications, we'd love to give them samples so that they can see the technology, et cetera. And again, for those of you who are located here in Hampton Roads, there are companies like this that we really want to nurture and grow, so that they not only could make a contribution to the community, but also grow in terms of providing jobs for others to grow as well. So thank you, Steve. Thank you so much. None of this would have been possible without Kelly Jones, Kelly Wave. So Kelly is the producer of the whole Tech Talk series. She does a fantastic job. Please, please, please feel free to reach out to us at Tech Center Research Park if you have any questions. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Jeff. Really appreciate it.
Have a good one.
Bye for now.